Imagine waking up to a world that never pauses to learn your name. Your alarm blares at the same hour, your shoes hit the same pavement, your body merges with a crowd of strangers who'd forget you before your coffee cools. You shout into the void of group chats and comment sections, but your words dissolve like smoke. Have you ever wondered if you're just a ghost in the machine, a flicker of consciousness trapped in a system that thrives on your silence? The machine doesn't hate you. It doesn't care enough to hate. And that's the problem. You check your phone, 37 notifications, all demands, no connection. The barista hands you a latte with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. You wonder if she's rehearsed it. You wonder if you've done the same. At work, you carve your soul into spreadsheets, each cell a tiny coffin for your creativity. The boss praises your efficiency but can't recall your hometown. What does it mean to matter in a world that confuses productivity with purpose? Philosopher Albert Camus called it the absurd, the human hunger for meaning clashing against the universe's silence. But this isn't just cosmic indifference, it's a societal script. You're told to want more followers, more hustle, more sleek distractions to numb the ache of existing as a replaceable cog. Yet the more you chase, the emptier you feel. Why does fulfillment slip through your fingers like sand? You return home, past glowing windows where strangers binge the same shows, scroll the same feeds, and lie awake haunted by the same unspoken question: is this all there is? But what if this emptiness isn't a flaw? It's a signal, a signpost pointing to a truth you've been conditioned to ignore. The machine wants you numb, compliant, too drained to ask what happens if you stop playing its game. This isn't just your story. It's a design to survive. You must first uncover what's hiding in the silence, the cracks in the system, the whispers of your own soul, because the truth is this: you are not a ghost, you are a spark, and sparks, when gathered, can ignite revolutions. What if the world doesn't care because it's waiting for you to make it care? This emptiness you feel, it's not an accident, it's the residue of a 500-year-old machine. Nietzsche called it the death of God. The moment humanity stopped believing in divine purpose but kept pretending. We replaced cathedrals with corporations, sacraments with subscriptions, yet the void remained. Jung warned of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we bury to fit into systems that demand our fragmentation. You mute your rage to keep the job. You swap curiosity for productivity, but the shadow doesn't vanish. It metastasizes. What if your despair isn't a weakness, but a rebellion? Your soul is screaming to wage. The machine learned to weaponize your hunger for meaning. Huxley's Brave New World wasn't ruled by terror, by distraction. Keep them addicted to comfort. It whispered. Make them crave their own chains. Social media isn't a tool, it's a Skinner box, doling out dopamine for compliance. Schopenhauer saw it first. Man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. You chase likes, promotions, and trendy nihilism because you've been programmed to. Even your rebellions are pre-packaged, rage reduced to hashtags, dissent commodified as merch. When every thought is a product, who owns your mind? You're not living a life. You're performing one. Searcher called this bad faith, surrendering yourself to costumes. Society hands you the cashier forced to smile, the entrepreneur peddling passion while dying inside. Frankl argued that meaning comes only through resistance, through saying no to what the world tries to carve you into. But the machine is clever. It sells you identities like fast fashion. Be a disruptor, a visionary, a brand. Yet the more roles you collect, the less of you remains. What's left when the masks dissolve? This is the secret they buried. Indifference is not the default state of existence. Ancient Stoics, Buddhists, and mystics all named it the lie of separateness. The machine thrives when you believe you're alone in a cold universe. But physics whispers otherwise. Every atom in your body was forged in dying stars. You breathe the same air as Caesar and Cleopatra. The system wants you numb to this truth, to forget that your existence is a statistical miracle. What if the universe isn't indifferent, but waiting for you to claim your place in it? This is how civilizations decay, not with screams, but shrugs. The bystander effect isn't just psychology, it's a pandemic. Heidegger called it the faceless authority that says someone else will act. So you walk past the crying stranger. You ignore the rustle in your chest when headlines scream genocide or wildfires. The machine rewards your detachment. Algorithms feed you outrage to paralyze you, then cat videos to bury the guilt. How many times have you swallowed your voice today? Each silence is a brick in the wall between you and your humanity. But walls have a way of trapping both sides. Your brain is rewiring itself. Neuroscientists see it. Gray matter thinning in regions meant for focus and compassion. The hedonic treadmill isn't a metaphor, it's literal. Dopamine receptors burnt out by endless swiping, leaving you chasing hits of validation just to feel baseline. Kahneman's thinking. Fast and Slow warned of this. When the world moves faster than your moral reasoning, you default to fear, to tribalism, to us versus them binaries sold by politicians and influencers. What does it cost to live in a body trained to see pain as content? The answer flickers in your numbness, the quiet terror of realizing you're becoming the indifferent world you despise. You've been gaslit by your own life. Cognitive dissonance isn't a glitch, it's the business model. Social comparison theory weaponizes your joy. You judge your raw footage against everyone else's highlight reel. Frankl's tragic optimism feels impossible when you're drowning in the delta between what is and what could be. The machine needs you fractured, divided against yourself, because a self at war can't revolt. How much of your exhaustion comes from holding these doubles? The dutiful employee versus the dying artist. The loyal consumer versus the climate mourner. The truth festers in the gap, and the gap is widening. This is the endgame of indifference. A world where everything is connected, but no one connects. Sociologists name it atomization. Communities shattered into data points. Relationships flattened into transactions. The UN estimates we have 10 years to prevent ecosystem collapse. But how do you rally a species that can't look up from their screens? Zygmunt Bauman called it liquid modernity, a culture that melts all solid truths into clickbait. Yet in this liquidity, you float, untethered. What becomes of a civilization that outsources its soul? The answer isn't in the future. It's here, in the weight of your breath, in the choices you've already postponed. Rebellion begins when you realize the machine's greatest weakness. It needs you more than you need it. Camus wrote that the absurd hero refuses to die for ideas. They live for them. The myth of Sisyphus isn't about futility, it's about revolt. Finding purpose in the act of pushing. So break the first rule. Stop asking permission to exist. Quit the job poisoning your soul. Delete the app that sells your rage. Speak the truth, even if your voice shakes. History's true radicals weren't fearless. They trembled as they burned their draft cards, their manuscripts, their bridges. What's one lie you're ready to stop telling yourself? Freedom isn't seized, it's built. Hannah Arendt called it the human capacity to begin anew. The machine wants you to believe you're powerless. Prove it wrong. Forge meaning like a blacksmith. Through heat and blows. Plant a garden in the parking lot. Write poems on receipts. Teach orphans to code. Viktor Frankl survived Auschwitz by deciding what his suffering meant. Mandela turned prison into a crucible. Your rebellion isn't in the grand gesture. It's in the daily refusal to let the world define you. What will you create with the scraps they've discarded? The answer isn't in your mind. It's in your hands. To break free, you must confront the unthinkable solitude, not loneliness, the raw, howling quiet where masks crumble. Buddhist monks spend years in caves staring at walls until they see the universe in the grain of stone. The The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, imagining the worst to realize they'd survive it. Sit with your void. Let it scald you. Ask, who am I when no one is watching? The machine fears this question. It's why it floods you with noise, but in the silence, you'll meet your shadow, your rage, your grief, and beneath it all the unkillable spark even the darkest system can't extinguish. The final lie, that you must fight alone. Every revolution thrives on chosen kin. The civil rights movement, AET-UP, anonymous hackers, indigenous water protectors. Find those who see your cracks as sanctuaries. Schopenhauer's porcupine dilemma, closeness wounds but freezing kills, is a false choice. Build a tribe that bleeds together. Share food, not follower counts. Swap stories, not status. The machine isolates. Rebellion connects. As Audre Lorde said, your silence will not protect you, but your roar, multiplied, it can shatter time. What legacy will you etch into the ruins? The ultimate truth is this: you are both the prisoner and the key. The machine isn't out there. It's in here. Your habits, your fears, your craving for validation. But so is the cosmos. Every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a dying star. You are the universe observing itself, dreaming itself, becoming itself. The binary code above isn't a cage, it's a mirror. What if the system isn't your enemy, but your reflection? To break free, you must first see the chains as your own creation. And what you create, you can destroy. The second truth: small acts are seismic. You've been taught that revolutions require heroes, hashtags, and history books. But Frankl found meaning in a single thought. Mandela reshaped a nation from a prison cell. Your rebellion isn't in the grand gesture. It's in the quiet defiance of planting seeds in barren soil. A kind word to a stranger. A poem scrawled on a napkin. A no whispered to a system that demands your yes. What if your insignificance is your superpower? Because systems crumble not from explosions, but from the relentless drip of water on stone. The third truth: you are not alone in time. Every ancestor who survived plagues, wars, and tyrants lives in your DNA. Every future generation watches through the lens of your choices. The machine wants you to believe you're a blip, a flicker between oblivions. But you're a bridge, a thread in the tapestry of human resilience. As Maya Angelou said, you are the dream and the hope of the slave. Your rebellion isn't just for you, it's for the child who will inherit your scars and your songs. What will you leave in the soil for them to grow? The final truth: you are the universe, remembering itself. The machine's greatest lie is that you're separate from each other, from nature, from the cosmos. But physics whispers otherwise. You are stardust dreaming of stars, a ripple in the fabric of space-time. The universe didn't abandon you, it became you. So when you feel small, remember you are the void and the light, the question and the answer, the end and the beginning. What if survival isn't the goal but the starting point? Because to live is to create, to rebel is to love, and to love is to be infinite.